I'd like to talk to you about one of the most favorite words I've heard in 2020s thrown around when couples come to call on me: narcissism. Oh, my spouse is a narcissist. Or worse yet, the spouse that's staying home and fighting for his or her marriage is being called the narcissist. Every time someone comes to me, I roll my eyes. Thank God it's a telephone because I'm like, it is such an overused term. I'm here to say, stop it. Stop it. The first thing I want to say is whether you're the leaver or the leavee, I want you to understand truly what it is. Every generation, counselors, coaches, we go through these uh, words, labels that get thrown around, and narcissism is just the most recent and most popular word that everyone wants to label you. When a wife is a man is leaving a wife, it's, oh, she's cold, she never wants to have enough sex. There's always these catchwords that I watch for. So before I keep going, let me start out and give you the definition of what narcissism supposedly is today. Narcissism is defined by excessive interest in or admiration of one's self and one's personal appearance. Excessive admiration. I mean, true narcissism is staring in the mirror and all you care about is looks. You're not even listening to your kids. You're just always just focused on the self. The looks is one example, but just I go to eat where I want. I do the activities I want. I don't care about you at all. Now, granted, in broken marriage times, when your spouse is having an affair, he or she becomes extremely selfish. But there's a difference between narcissism and selfishness. Further, the dictionary goes on and says, selfishness is part of the definition. Selfishness, involving a sense of entitlement, a lack of empathy, a need for admiration as characterizing a personality type. Now, a true narcissist only cares about his or herself. What we're usually finding is that while someone's having an affair, they're not lacking in empathy. They're just lacking in empathy towards you. They're not lacking in empathy towards their mistress or the mister that they're seeing. So it is extreme selfishness is what we're looking at. And the one last thing I want to say about the narcissism thing right now is the characterization that it's a personality type. We have to be careful when we call someone something because that label is presuming that it's something that you are and not something that you're temporarily doing. Yeah, you're a narcissist. It'll never change. See, I have an out. I have a reason to divorce you. I have a reason to, I'm sure I could get an annulment because you're a narcissist, and clearly narcissists weren't capable of marrying, right? Stop it. Stop it. So first of all, labels are such a minute use time for a true person of a sociopath, a true narcissist. But what we are looking at is extreme selfishness. That is what the definition hits spot on. But let's face it, we are all selfish. Selfishness or selflessness is a matter of degree. There's a continuum. Here's extreme selfish, that's flesh, that's us, right? Adam and Eve, Satan, right here. And here's extreme selflessness, right here, God. One of them puts themselves before the other. The other one completely puts the other before the self. So where are you on this continuum, right? When my marriage is happy, hopefully we're at least somewhere in the middle. I'm putting my needs and your needs basically 50-50. But when marriages are troubled, oftentimes we are putting our needs before the other person's needs. When I did all my research on the super couples, I discovered the formula for extreme happiness was sacred, SACRED. And the S was what I found to be extremely important, was selflessness. Extreme happiness was attached to super couples' ability to put their spouse's needs before their own. Narcissism, selfishness, is where we're putting our own needs before the other. Now, before you judge your spouse, even when I was crying out for a good marriage, I never recognized how selfish I was. You hear the selfishness in these things, like, you never want to talk to me. You never want to have sex with me. You never listen to me. Now you might be thinking, well, those aren't bad things because you want to talk with your spouse. You want them to listen to you. You want them to have sex with you. But the focus was on what you're not giving to me. That, again, is selfish. I had to do this video because I am so tired of hearing that word. I recently had a man reach out to me. His wife has left him. He is one of the most timid and gentle persons. And he said, well, I know, she says I'm a narcissist and she says I'm abusive. And I'm like, what? But tell me why you're abusive. And he goes, well, there was this one time, 715 years ago, whatever. No, in their 20-year marriage. It was one time about 10 years ago. We were really upset. And then I just screamed and I yelled and I hit my hand on the desk. And I'm like, and where's the abuse? She was calling him abusive and a narcissist. Where is the narcissism? Where's the focus on the thought? Well, I got angry and I shouldn't have been angry. This woman started convincing him that he was abusive. And when I said to him, everything you're saying to me is more like the victim. Everything you're saying to me is more like the one trying to be selfless. In this case, this man's wife was being extremely selfish. She, like most others, was in fact in the middle of an affair that he didn't know about until I told him about the signs. That's going to be an upcoming video. And realize that when we're trying to get out of marriages, those of us who are having affairs, those of us who are being prodigals, we're going to pour everything on you. And the fact that this guy was so sensitive to what his wife was saying, he's like, I don't want to be abusive. I don't want to be narcissistic. I only want to do this for her. I want to do that. And all the examples he could come up with to me were, sounds like you're actually pretty selfless in your daily behaviors. But remember, this wife, who now is extremely selfish and in the middle of her affair, was turning it on him. And that happens a lot. I'm kind of crossing two videos over here, and I don't want to do that. I want to stick with the narcissism thing. So I want to end with this, saying, stop with the labels. First of all, most counselors that you see are one of two people. They're either like me, and you bring up a label, and they're like, and they're rolling their eyes because they're thinking, guys, if we focus too much on the label, we're looking at it as a trait and not as something that's changeable. Hold that thought. Or the second is they're the counselor who allows you to throw every label. Oh, I'm going to counsel you. Oh, it sounds like your spouse is a narcissist. Client 2. Oh, it sounds like your spouse is a narcissist. Client 3. Sounds like you're a narcissist. It's just the catchword these days. So be careful who you go to. Get on your knees. Talk to the Lord. We're looking at selfishness, selflessness. So going right back before I end this to that example is, if we start labeling people, specifically our spouses, we've got to be careful that we're not putting them into this unchangeable state. No, you're a narcissist, you're always going to be that way. I have a reason to get out. I'm getting out. Or is it something that can be changed? Because if you have the same God that I have, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who is Jesus Christ, anyone can change. Your prayers can change them. Your prayers can change yourself. You fell in love with that person before. You know that that person can be good and kind. They were good and kind. You loved them once, you can love them again. We just have to change how we think. I am not saying your spouse is being great. Sometimes they are being a jerk. I get that. But I got a 10-minute video here, guys. I can't go into every single example. So I want to end this by saying, please stop yourself from labeling your spouse. Look at their actions, judge the actions, and ask yourself, okay, how can we fight those actions? Bad actions, you're listening to Satan. Good actions, you're listening to God. Selfish actions, you're listening to Satan. Selfless actions, you're listening to God. I need you to go out and be as close to God as you can. Start with yourself. Start by putting other people's needs before your own, and let God do the rest. Thank you so much. God bless you. And if you need help with this or any of these subjects, give me a call. You can find me at breakfastwithbacon.com or just email me at Christine at breakfastwithbacon.com. God bless. Go out and make the world a better place.